Hey Tando, I need to arrange for your medical testing to finalize your life cover. The more we know about you, the more cover you could qualify for.
What will happen to my medical records?
Well, Siswami, Old Mutual keeps them confidential.
Get medically tested and you could qualify for more life cover.
iDiskiTV powered by World Sports Betting. iDiskiTimes.co.za. Mamelodi Sundowns have fired coach Manqoba Mngqithi. He leaves with former Morocco Swallows goalkeeper, a man that Tso Vilakazi has scored against, Wendell Robinson, and he also leaves with Roman Falls. The new coach, Miguel Cardoso, comes with his own technical team. However, from the Sundowns house, he will be assisted by Kennedy Mwene, former Free State Stars, one of the highest goal-scoring goalkeepers in the history of the Premier Soccer League, if not the highest goal-scoring goalkeepers. Kennedy Mwene from Free State Stars, and of course, Mamelodi Sundowns legend. He will also be assisted by another Free State Stars icon, another former Kaizer Chiefs captain, former Bafana captain, Coach Steve Kompela. I'm confusing you with these formers. Steve Kompela and Kennedy Mwene will be helping the new team that's coming in, Miguel Cardoso, with his own assistants as well. Ohambileyo, Coach Manqoba Mngqithi, Wendell Robinson, no Eminem Ufohloza. Mr. So-and-so, your reaction to Manqoba Mngqithi from the first day that he was not doing well. He was being knocked out by Stellenbosch. And I said you were overreacting at the time. You said he's going to leave Sundowns. Why is he coaching this way? Why is he changing the style? That means he doesn't believe in the style as it was being applied by Coach Peter Musimane, Rulani Mukwena. He's been there the whole time and he disagrees with it. What's your response to Coach Manqoba Mngqithi?
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir. Pep Guardiola. Yes, sir.
Mr. Nkewu, you know, it's not a nice thing, man. It's not a nice thing really for somebody to lose a parade, Mr. Nkewu, because he's got a family that he needs to look after. And yeah, man, it's just that you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe in future it will happen where. And I always say this, there's nothing wrong, Mr. Nkewu, if you're coaching Golden Arrows and I see what you're doing at Golden Arrows, that if I add it here in my team at Orlando Pirates, it can make my team to improve. There's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing wrong about Coach Rulani left while Morocco. Bamqoshile while Morocco. There's nothing wrong about you continuing with what he was doing, because when you look at the record, Mr. Nkewu, the team in a marathon, they've lost one game. One game in the whole season. One game. Then they've lost Kuma finals, I2. They've lost Kuma semi-final. They've won EAFL. What else can you ask from the coach? When you look at the age, Garulan, he's young. Then that means the team had a bright future. So then go to Coach Manqoba. And I even said, Mr. Nkewu, I said, Coach, there's nothing wrong if you can continue where Urulane left. If you believe what Urulane was doing, that's the way, then you can continue. And I saw them playing against Chiefs. Then I was like, now this is the Sundowns that we know. But now, after that game, everything changed. Now he went back to play a long ball at a transition, and you could see now his team. And I said that when you see Alende going to the left, and you see Mukwena go to the right, then you must know that they're not going to play in the midfield. And now he changed the way Sundowns is playing. And I said, before the season starts, I said, now the league is open. Yeah.
You were the only person in this country who recognized from the beginning that the appointment of Manqoba means the league is wide open and yaphendula like Pirates. Yes. Mr.
Nkewu, I said this because, you know, there's one thing that I look at the coach, the history yake.
But how did you know? Sorry to how did you know that he was not going to continue with the style? Because Begasla is a style with arrows. So how did you know before he's going to want to change, which does not make sense, but he changed the team?
Because I went back to do my research and check Golden Arrows. Ukuthi yakadlala kanjani. When I look at my players afana nabo Ntantla Zotwane, Papi Zotwane, abo Y2K, abo Jabu, bonke abo mancane. Ngabona ukuthi no man uyobakhipha kancane in the game. He uses abo the late brothers, abo Henyekanye, bo two with that speed pumping. And then I said to myself, you know, now he's going to use what he was using in Arrows, but now he can't see now that.
But do you remember that final, with how beautiful it was?
Yes.
We were not, all of us were neutral. It was Golden Arrows,
Against
and Ajax.
Yes.
Everyone was neutral. I remember, I think it was 18 or 17. I watched that final with my cousins, and it was so nice. I think it was 16 or something like that. And the football, the goals that were scored, it was beautiful football. So I would not have known that he's not going to want to play. And it's not even about being beautiful football. It's about dominating the opposition, keeping most of the ball most of the time.
You know, Mr. Nkewu, there's nothing wrong about the way he wants to play. But the problem is that when you look at the material that you've got, does it complement what you want? And again, my biggest question was, if Coach Manqoba, the way he plays now, I mean, we saw him against Polokwane City, we saw him against Stellenbosch, and I said, no man, that means Coach Manqoba, he was not agreeing. That's why he was sitting quiet at bench. He was not agreeing with what Coach Pitso was doing.
But they were winning and they played dominant football. Like, what can you not agree with there? Like, it's not about the beauty of it. It's a coincidence that it's actually beautiful when you play dominant football. But it was dominant. The opposition didn't get the ball. You went to Cairo and beat Al Ahly. You whipped their ass. Actually, you didn't just beat them. You wiped the floor with that Casablanca with dominant football. What you would have to have low intelligence to not think that that is the right way to play football. To dominate, like receive, you pass, you move, and the opponent is constantly chasing it. Just keep on playing the ball. You would have to be low in intelligence. I'm not talking about the coach. I'm talking even about fans in general, about us, about me, about you. If you look at dominant football, even Pep Guardiola plays it, and you don't think that that's the right way to play, something must be wrong with you, because 70% of the time you're going to have the ball. Rulani only needed to add the final third factor, which is a little bit of speed, a little bit of creativity, and he would have been the best club in Africa again. You don't have to change that.
Mr. Nkewu, that's why I had a plea to him to say, Coach, there's nothing wrong if you can go back to your books and look at your books last season, how you guys were preparing the team with Rulani, how things were happening for you guys to dominate the league, to dominate the FL, to dominate until to get it to the finals, the two cups of the final, and then the semi-final. There's, Mr. Nkewu, that sometimes I think it's a pride. But now it's worrying me that in all these years, I think it was a waste for Sundowns to have him there. Because if really...
It was his time now.
Yes,
because... It was the investment, and now you must coach now.
Show us what we invested in you. When I coach Manqoba, we had to coach Pitso. It means you've learned from Coach Pitso. We had to coach Urulan. You've learned from him. So that means if you take the two things that these guys they were doing, it means for you it should be easy like this. And again, look at the team. The team, you've got a core team. That team, I would say 80%, 90% of them, they represent the country. In 24 years, we had to get a medal as Bafana Bafana. Then when you look at the work of Sundowns, we look at the work of Coach Rulan, it tells you that, look, it means what Coach Rulan was doing, he was on the right track. Why can't I continue? I'm very sad that they had to sack him. But
you said something so that when we used to do the radio, it's something that I can't just accept, because I always try to see the best of people, that if you get an opportunity, your better self will come back and say, well, I must do this. You said you are a coach of small teams. And it sounded like an insult, but it's like, I'm starting to see it now that, well, some people, whatever you do, you can give them a different level. Unfortunately, they don't belong to that level. And we were mentioning even Coach Steve as well, the kind of teams that they've coached and the kind of style that they've played in those smaller teams. But I couldn't accept that, because I always think that when you give people opportunities, they must then rise to the occasion. Let's revisit this idea of coaching small teams. Mr.
Nkewu, you know, I said this based on when I did my research and look at them in their coaching careers. They've never been number 1 or number 2. They've never been there. And now I ask myself, if these guys in their coaching careers have never been there, now, what is it that they've got that will really take them? They will never stay there. They will never, because they've never done that before. And now, I thought, Manqoba in his shoes, I was going to say, look, it's not the time for me to prove a point, to say, I want to change this. I said, the changes are gradually, at there and there. Keep that team. Play the way, Mr. Nkewu, everyone is scared of Sundowns with the way Sundowns are playing football. But a minute when Manqoba came in, I said, Mina, look, now everything's open now. The league is open, because I know their coaching careers, they've never stayed up there. So they're always being or either in the middle, or maybe number 4, maybe, or relegation. That's how they are, both of them. And yeah, I'm very sorry for him that he had to come this way. But I saw it.
Wrong or right decision?
No, that's.
Well, I mean, if after saying all of what you were saying and what you've been saying.
Yeah, no, it's a right decision, because now Sundowns, they are not moving in the direction that they were supposed to be moving. So, yeah, it was time for him to go.
Let's talk about Fleming Berg. In the press conference, we'll talk about the new coach as well. Yeah. In the press conference, he says, I am not involved in the hiring and firing. Also, Uqosha kwethu Manqoba does not mean that he was failing because he's number 1 in the log table. As we speak, he's number 1 in the Betway Premiership. Let's talk about Fleming Berg. I'm going to ask Lindo as well about Fleming Berg, but let's talk about him, and then let's talk about the new coach as well. What does that mean? Yet another European coach now. It's Kaizer Chiefs with a Tunisian/French coach. Orlando Pirates as well with a Spanish coach. It looks like we're going back to 10, 15 years ago now. Sundowns also breaking that spell of local coaches after Tso stayed there for 5-7 years. Rulani and Manqoba as well. It's been 10 years, solid years of success with local coaches. They're now going to Europe. Let's start with Fleming Berg.
Mr. Nkewu, Fleming Berg ulwe no Rulani. Rulani needed some certain players. He couldn't get those players. And then they had to fire him. Because they said, no, you didn't win this, didn't win that, then you must go. Okay, fine. If that's the case, it's okay. So now, he's still there again, appointing Coach Manqoba. Because as a sporting director, you've got a power, the final say coming from the sporting director to say, this coach, I believe he can take the job. So he said to Coach Manqoba will take a team to win the Nkewu. And here now, Coach Manqoba didn't do well. So now I'm asking, why are you still there? You failed. You failed. If Coach Rulani left with the history that he has created in the team, and then you fire him, and then now you fire Coach Manqoba, then that means you must also go. He must also go, because for me, I don't see him that is going to give the best of Sundowns the way he's doing things. Look at the signing, Abu Saleh, Abu Saverda. For me, he just signed ordinary players, of which we do have Abu Kulisi, we do have Abu Mayema, players that they can do it. Season in, season out. I mean, Mayema proving to us that he can do it. Kulisi, he did prove to us. And then now, here's Abu Saleh. For me, he's just a waste for Sundowns to sign a player like him. Abu Savetra, I mean, we sign Abu Mendieta again. The other one, no Hambile, Esquivel, yes. He left in. For me, Fleming, as now, Coach Manqoba, he's been sacked. The management, the chairman, he must also sack Fleming.
Okay, there's nothing much we can say about the new coach other than the fact that he knocked out Rulani with Champions League semi-final. Esperance, yes. Esperance, Shaiwe, Al-Akhli final, the Champions League. Yeah. Esperance, Mqosha, ngendlela qale ngayo league this time around. Yeah. Even though I see the Club World Cup as well.
Yes.
Other than the angle yokuthi is a Portuguese, do you have any fears? Just be careful with your words because we don't know him. But do you have any fears about this guy in particular? Do you think he could bring Sundowns any success? We can't know that, but what do you think about his appointment?
Mr. Nkewu, the very same way he was playing La Pago Esperance, he's going to do that at Sundowns, where he's going to use the width, And that's why Flemberg, he went for him because of Usalis. Usalis, every ball needs to go wide across Usalis. That's why Flemberg went for him, because he's playing the very same football as a Sutu Salis. For me, I don't see Sundowns improving. I think from better to worse, that's where they're going Sundowns now. And it goes back.
He masterminded. I remember that he masterminded Sundowns' loss in the semi-final earlier on. I'm not advocating for him.
Mr.
I'm
Nkewu.
saying that he's solid in terms of he was solid, every man behind the ball.
Yeah.
It's true what you're saying, actually, because I remember the goal that they scored was coming from wide.
Yes.
And it was a silly goal that was scored, but it was from the right-hand channel at Loftus, if I remember correctly, but it was a wide goal. But Sundowns have quality players.
Yeah.
He will somehow get something out of them because they are quality. But when you say from bad to worse, what do you mean? You still stand with your top 4 prediction, Uguti. They might be outside top 4.
I'm still saying Mr. Nkewu is going back to the Sabo Miguel, Nabo Stoshkov,
Nieskins.
Yabo Nieskins. Sundowns, babuyela lapho futhi. Now bazodlala lapho ma number 5, 6. Bazoba top 8.
I don't believe that.
Watch the space.
Well, they're going to fire this one if it doesn't do well.
Then that means they agree with me to say Bona Baseba Lapana in that position, because if they don't agree with me, they will keep him. Watch the space. And what they will do, I know, they will stick with him and say, no, they will give him time. He needs to adjust to the players. The players, they need to adjust to the system. Let's wait for next season. Why didn't do that to Manqoba, if that's the case? So I'm saying, Sundowns, bazoba 5, 6, bazoba top 8. Let me put it that way. Bazoba top 8, but not lapana top 3, top 4.
Mr. So-and-so, thank you very much for your time, sir. It's a breaking news story, one of the biggest news stories in South Africa. The last time we had a big news story, it was when Sundowns fired Rulani. Once again, we're here. And maybe when Chiefs hired Nabi, because nothing much has happened at Pirates as well in terms of it coming in and going out. So maybe Miguel, that was a big story. But this one is as big a story as when Sundowns fired Rulani and then Nabi was hired by Chiefs as well. So there are days like these where we have to respond as quickly as possible, and we hope you enjoy the conversation. Please subscribe to us, follow us on all our platforms. Our WhatsApp channel as well is available on the link in the description. iDiskiTV, iDiski Times, was for betting.